Hey everybody, welcome to Reality Check. Now, as we all know, video games frequently come under a lot of flack in mainstream media for a variety of reasons, be it concerns over violent content, worries about their addictive nature, or gates. Anyway, this episode is not about any of that. In fact, I think it's high time for some good news, positive video game stories. So come with me on this week's Reality Check as we explore the latest cutting-edge scientific research demonstrating that playing video games can actually be good for you. Wonderful. Do you remember when you learned to type on a keyboard? Or perhaps to ride a bike? Well, a friend of mine who will remain nameless actually managed to fail to learn to ride a bike. Twice. Pretty special, huh? Well, you know what might have actually helped her is playing more action video games.
Hardpoint contested.
You see, tasks like typing and bike riding, which involve learning a new pattern of coordination between your vision and motor functions, like moving your arms and legs, require what's called sensory motor skills. Now, a study led by University of Toronto psychology researchers found that people who play action video games seem to be able to learn new sensory motor skills more quickly than non-gamers. The experiment carried out by the team involved two groups. One made up of 18 gamers who regularly played first-person shooter games, and the other 18 non-gamers who had played little to no video games in the past 2 years. Now, to test everyone's sensory motor skills, they didn't just chuck them all on bikes because most normal people already know how to do that. No, instead, they had everyone perform something called a manual tracking task. Basically, this involved trying to keep a small green square cursor at the center of a white square moving target, which dashed about in a complicated but repeating pattern. Now, at the beginning, there was pretty much no difference between the gamers and the non-gamers. They both picked up the task initially at about the same rate. However, by the close of the experiment, while everyone had improved with time, the gamers were markedly better by the end. According to the researchers, this is likely due to the gamers' superior ability in learning a novel sensory motor pattern. That is, their gaming experience enabled them to learn better than the non-gamers. Pretty interesting stuff. However, the research team weren't done just yet. They had to be sure that this improvement in the gamers was down to learning the exact task, not just say because they were better at controlling the mouse, for example. So they repeated the experiment, but this time the pattern of movement of the white target square was random and didn't repeat. This removed the possibility of anyone learning the route, and lo and behold, this time around, there was no difference between the gamers and the non-gamers. Now, when I was a little kid, I played a lot of Civilization with my dad and big brother. As well as being a hell of a lot of fun, this also gave me impeccable knowledge of ancient capital cities. That and Sun Tzu's Art of War. Well, it turns out it's not just fact learning that video games can impart on children. In fact, a recent study has thrown up compelling evidence that young people who play games can actually get a boost in their overall English language skills. The study, carried out at the University of Gothenburg, involved 76 young people aged 10 and 11, and demonstrated that young gamers really gain an advantage in terms of their English vocabulary over their non-gaming contemporaries. The key, it seems, to amassing a voluminous lexicon is elementally a consequence of periodic exposure to novel prose. In other words, it's not a function of the gameplay as such, it's all about being exposed to more written and spoken English outside of school, and games are a very effective way to do this. Massively multiplayer online role-playing games were actually called out as being particularly effective due to the large numbers of real people all interacting with one another in a virtual world. As Associate Professor Liz Kirsten Salvin explained, as a player you simply have to be able to understand what's being said, to read English, and to interact yourself by both writing and speaking English. At the beginning of this episode, we saw some of the merits of playing action titles, but now it's the turn of puzzle games. These have been shown to improve our overall mental flexibility and also executive functions. But what does that mean? Well, it's basically our ability to think on our feet, to quickly problem solve and deal with sudden changes in the environment. The game used in the study was none other than super popular mobile puzzler Cut the Rope. And the research demonstrated that it took as little as an hour a day of gaming to get the improvements. So how exactly did the study work? Well, a group of non-gamers played for an hour a day, 5 days a week, for 4 weeks. The participants were split into 4 groups, each one playing a different game. Once the 4 weeks of gaming were over, all test subjects then took part in a number of tests. The results showed that players of Cut the Rope could switch between tasks 33% faster, were 30% faster in adapting to new situations, and 60% better in blocking out distractions and focusing on the tasks at hand than before training. So how could games like Cut the Rope actually help with this? Well, it's possibly to do with the fact that games like Cut the Rope constantly require you to employ new strategies in order to progress. The tactics and tricks that you learn at the start probably won't help you later on, so you need to be able to think creatively. According to Assistant Professor Michael D. Patterson, this finding is important because previously no video games have demonstrated this type of broad improvement to executive functions, which are important for general intelligence, dealing with new situations, and managing multitasking. So, what do you make of this week's episode? Have you ever observed any of these effects in real life? And can you think of any other ways that video games might actually be good for us? Let me know in the comments down below, or you can get in touch with me directly over Twitter at CamFrazRob. And remember, that's the place if you want to suggest to me any potential topics for Reality Check. Okay, thanks for watching guys, see you next week.